Bonjour, ami! Today we are going to explore some French classics and it is going to be fantastic!
Life can be a struggle, but a good meal doesn't have to be. We can make creative, nutritious, and inventive dishes for under $2 a plate.
Not all French food has to be expensive and snobby. No! There's a whole bunch of classic French dishes that use affordable, fresh ingredients, and that is exactly what we are going to do today. So pack your bag, because we are going to France, ami! We are going to start by making some crepes, a classic French street food, which are very thin pancakes that you can put either savory or sweet ingredients into. So the possibilities are truly endless. Let's do it. Tick, 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 tick. Here we have some milk. A little bit of salt, some flour. A classic French crepe calls for melted butter. I think it takes too long, so we're gonna substitute with mayo packets. It's like already liquidious butter. Mayonnaise! So get this as smooth as you can. You're gonna need a non-stick pan. Can't use a cast iron for this. So let's come in. We will put a little bit of beurre. I need a cup because I cannot afford a ladle. And I will go like this and around, and I will try to cover the entire bottom of the pan. And now just like relax. Pay attention, do not text and cook. You'll start seeing a little edge bubble. Oh look, it's separated already. This is also a great one to practice the flipping of the pan, so you can get both sides very nice. As you can see, the first one is pretty ugly. So this is what I like to call the chef's piece. You could take a bite before you serve your friends. Pour, get some circles happening. As you cook them, they get better and better. I mean, look at this. This is gorgeous. It's because the pan's getting hotter. Why can't you just start with a hot pan? Because you need a reference point. That's why that first one is a throwaway, you know? Oh, voila! Our crepes are done. They are literally blank canvases upon which we will paint both savory and sweet. Let's saute some onions. Let's make our savory crepe first. Start with some butter. Onions going in. Get some salt, help sweat that out. You wanna know what's great about crepes? The pancakes don't cost a lot of money to make. And that means that we can fill them up with fresh ingredients. It's pretty sweet. All right, there's color on the onions here. Now we can come in with the ceps. Mushrooms. These are gonna cook down. These mushrooms cook down to nothing. The color is beautiful. All right, now we're gonna come in with some spinach. All right, let's add some cream cheese so that we've got a nice creamy filling. I think cream cheese is a really good alternative to an expensive French cheese here. It's already creamy, you don't really have to melt it. Look what happens. Boom, it just happens. I think this is great. We got spinach, cream cheese, onion and mushrooms. This could be anything. This could be ham and cheese. You could do like Mexican crepes if you wanted. You get some ground beef in there with some seasoning. That'd be pretty cool. So I like to go like that, and then you come in half. You can stop there, or you can go again. I like that fold because that first bite is so satisfying. So that is a savory crepe right there. Now, if you want to make a sweet one, you could put peanut butter and jelly. You could do Nutella. You could do strawberries and sugar. Why don't we do that? Here's some strawberries. That's beautiful. Add a little bit of sugar on the inside. All right. Why don't we add some more sugar on top? What is this? It's a chocolate sauce. So here we have 2 crepes. It cost me $1.78. I think you can get to that price point. I really, really do. All of the budget is really on the inside. That's where you should spend your do-re-mi. Fa. Meaty from the mushrooms, creamy from the cheese. Really tasty. That is nice. Here comes, I'm just gonna have to fold this again. Chocolate, strawberry. Oh, I'm naming this the birds and the bees right here, okay? It is super cheap and it tastes great. And I'd argue it's more exciting than a traditional flatjack because the fillings add sophistication. But let me show you another dish, one that you've probably had before. All right, you've definitely heard of this one. French onion soup. It's one of my favorite things to order in a restaurant. I'm sure you have too. But that stuff can be like between 10 and 14 bucks. Way too expensive. What is it? It's a beef bone broth. with cheese and bread on top. That's it. And yes, you heard me correctly. It starts with bone broth. That stuff you've been paying a whole bunch of money for is cheap to make because it's just beef bones and water. That's it. It takes a little bit of time. If you got the time, you should do it. Now listen, I went for the knuckle. The knuckle's got a lot of cartilage in there, and the cartilage turns into gelatin, and gelatin is great in a broth. If you're thrifty, which I'm trying to groom you into a thrifty kitchen person, then you'd be saving bones from other dishes, and this dish would be a byproduct of another dish. That is how you really save money in the kitchen. All right, bones go in. Let's get some heat on there. Water, some garlic. Got some celery here, just a rough chop. Some carrots, same deal. Here's an onion. You can use any color you want. I like to leave the skin on. It gives you a little more brownness. You're gonna be pulling this out of the broth anyway, so why waste the time? So there, we've quartered. That goes in. A little bit of apple cider vinegar. This is a pro tip. You're always looking for a pro tip, aren't you? This is gonna help pull out the delicious nutrients in the bone. It's also gonna help pull the cartilage out, which is gonna give you the gelatin, which is gonna make your broth very elegant. And elegance is the key. Here comes some parsley. And I like to salt at the end just in case there's any water reduction. That way you don't end up with something that's too salty. Top on. 2 or 4 hours. I think 4 is better, you get a richer broth, but 2 works. And at the end of that, you're just gonna strain everything out, and then you've got your bone broth. You do need to season it though. French onion soup is not French onion soup unless there are onions. So we have got to caramelize those alliums right now. We're gonna start with 4 packets of butter. Boom. I'm using yellow onions, but you could use red ones. I think that would be good too. Try to get the fat everywhere. Salt. I'm trying to caramelize the onions. This is gonna take a while, okay? It's like 15 to 25 minutes. Gruyere cheese. You know what I'm talking about, right? That stringy, amazing cheese. We can't afford it. We're gonna use Swiss cheese. They make it in a similar manner. They just do it in bigger batches and age it less. So texturally, really close to Gruyere. But Frank, how are we gonna get the funk of Gruyere? I'm so glad you asked. We're gonna add a little bit of provolone also. That's gonna give you that sharpness, that funkiness. Great. Cheese is ready. The onions have caramelized down. They got a little bit of color. It's great. Check out our strained bone broth. How badass does that look? Put it right in. Remember, we haven't seasoned this yet, so let's put in 2 packets of soy sauce. Only do it after the broth is in. Soy sauce burns. Do not do this with the onions alone. Take a sip. Try it. A little light on flavor. So what does that mean? It means salt. And some pepper. Give it a stir. This is really the key to cooking. Constantly trying and updating the flavor. So after you season it, don't just think you're done. No, you gotta try it again. See if you hit the mark. All right, we are up to a simmer. That means we can assemble a bunch of coffee mugs. You don't need a fancy ramekin. You could just use your daily cup of joe holder. All right, here we go. We got the zuppa. Oh, gumbo, baby. So make sure you get some onions. It's pretty important. It is called onion soup after all. I wanna get like 75 to 80% of the way up. All right, and that's gonna leave us just enough room to build our cheese and bread sandwich on top. Got some baguette pieces. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Boom, boom. Coming in with the Swiss cheese. Made with the same processes of Gruyere, but at a lower price point because they don't age it as long. But in order to get the flavor as close as possible while being on a budget, we are gonna make little provolone hats. So lay the provolone right over the top, get some space here so that they can each bubble and drip down the side on their own. That is it, my friends. All we need to do now is put it under the broiler until that cheese gets all melty and bubbly. It's gonna take like 5 minutes max. $1.99 for French onion soup, unheard of until today. Oh, la, la, la. Oh, yeah, oh. It is oniony. It is hot. Man, that's good. This whole provolone Swiss cheese smoke and mirror thing, it really works. Why spend money on the real thing when you can fake people out? As if this weren't enough, I have another classic French dish that will not break the bank. And now for my final trick, Crme Madame, which is essentially a fancy ham sandwich with bechamel poured all over it and topped with a fried egg. This sounds scrumptious. Let's make a bechamel. It starts with a roux. Roux is just equal parts butter and flour. Come in with the flour. Your roux is complete. This is a blonde roux. And in order to make it a bechamel, you just add milk. That's it. These are fundamental French sauces, man. Some of you might be thinking, Francois, that looks incredibly laborious. And you're kind of right, but this is what makes it French. This is what makes it exotic. This is what makes it over the top decadent. All right, I'm gonna stop it right there. Nice and thick, you see? We come out with a spoon. That is called nappe. That is the thickness we're looking for. A little bit of salt, put the black pepper, and a little bit of nutmeg. You can stir that around. We have some packet drawer butter. Butter your bread. That's how you're gonna get really nice toastiness. Flip the bread over. Whoop. Tiny bit of bechamel. Just spread that around. We're gonna put a little bit of Swiss cheese. Some jamon. Jamon. Wonderful. Let's top it with some more cheese. It's gonna glue all the ham in there. Now the top comes on. Boop. Wonderful, wonderful. Got a nice hot cast iron pan, placing her into the pan. All right, it's sizzling right away. That's a good sign. All right, here comes the flip. Beautiful. Bechamel, just give it a little stir. And here we go, right on top. This comes. Oh, Madame! This gets a kiss of Swiss cheese on top. This is decadence at its finest. Under the broiler. Here she goes. And now for my final trick, zag. Boom. Ha-ha! Who's struggling now? Here we go. Oh. My God, Madame, look at that. This is so nice. It's so ooey. It's so gooey. We are not done yet. No, the pickle will come. This is $1.96, guys. And we're coming back for more. That is creamy, man, the bechamel. This now holds the title for the greatest dish ever made on Struggle Meals. It is so much more than a ham and cheese sandwich because it's not a ham and cheese sandwich. It's a Crme Madame, and that means that it has even more cheese. It has bechamel, which makes the cheese even cheesier, and it's topped with a fried egg. So it's ooey and gooey from both egg yolk and cheese. It is delicious. It is literally off the charts. Madame, Monsieur, we made 3 classic French dishes today, and they weren't fancy and expensive like you thought. No, we started with low-cost bases. We swapped out expensive ingredients and were able to substitute with stuff that tastes pretty damn close to the original. And with that, I will just say, go home, make them, bonsoir, vive Paris.